Hey there, it's Brandon Burns. We're back here on the couch. I'm your head of community here at Runway. We're in Runway today, and on the couch is a very special guest. It's the owner and director of Gartland Property, Michael DeStefano. How are you?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure. And look, it's safe to say I've been outdressed on the couch today.
No.
Every time I see this guy, he's immaculately dressed.
Stop it.
So look, it's great to get you on the couch finally, and also to have you on for our audience, which is predominantly early stage startups, you know, and people who are really taking that first step in their entrepreneurial journey. And I thought it'd be really relevant to get you on the program because you've obviously taken that step yourself, and we're all familiar with the Gartland brand, and having you at the helm most recently. I think, has it been nearly 4 years now?
It'll be 4 years in December.
4 years, geez, that's gone quick.
Blink of an eye.
It has, yeah.
It's a bit scary how quick it does go, but December will be 4 years.
Yeah. So tell me, right, walk me through taking that plunge and sort of how it all happened and how it's going.
Right. So quick, but it seems so long ago too in some regards. But it had been, I'd worked in the company since 2003. So I had, it had been talked about and been the plan, or sort of, I guess, the previous owner's exit strategy.
Yeah,
when
right.
they retired. So that day finally come, and it was mid-December that we finally settled. Now, I only bought the commercial arm of the business, and the residential arm was bought by another firm. So I had a team of seven to start with.
Wow, so overnight you've got 7 employees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's, 7 families you're responsible for, which is, it's great responsibility.
Yep.
And so we were always very strong in commercial, and I wanted to really rebrand and start the residential side from scratch. So we started a rent roll again, and we got some people to come in and help us with that. We moved location to where we are now in Little Mellor Street, which
great location.
Which is probably, if you could ask me today, where would you want to set up your office, it would be there. So we were really fortunate at that time to stumble across that office, and people identify us more in that position than they did when we were on a main road.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
Obviously people are wining and dining in Geelong these days.
Yeah.
So, today we're a team of 15, so we're sort of doubled in size. We've
Awesome.
rebranded, we've moved offices and did a fit out, and you make lots of mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
We've done some good things clearly, but it was something for me that real estate was something that I was always going to do, and in some way, shape or form I wanted to, do something for myself. Although we were an established business in some sense, it was a very different look company, and probably for me the biggest learning curve was to actually how to control cash flow and all that when you're buying a business and you've got so many capital expenses and you're paying staff, and we did a refit and we did a rebrand, and that was things that if I was to do things again, I'd probably structure it a little bit different. Like we were lucky, we come out of it really good, and we're a real healthy business today. But anyone that was starting a new business, that would be, cash flow is your number one killer in a business.
Yeah. So I mean, if we were to address that in a smaller scale with an early stage startup that's maybe just at idea phase, and they've really got this idea in their mind that they need to raise seed funding and a lot of it to be able to have a viable business. Is that completely true, or is it maybe a combination of that and something else? Maybe it's good planning, or maybe it's setting up the right structures, or maybe it's finding a really good partner, or it's generating a good base of sales initially before going and just thinking they've got to spend a fortune to have a successful business. What would you recommend the good balance is there?
Probably elements of all of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think obviously good planning is paramount of everything. But I think, for me, I would have liked to have probably structured a little bit differently to have some more upfront money, because, we never struggled in any regard, but it was always scary because when you're spending all this money in your first formation months, and in our industry,
you have to, don't you?
Yeah, you sort of have to. But if I sell a property today, I don't realise the money for 30 or 60 or 90 days whenever that property settles. So it's something that it's a little bit of a rude awakening.
Yeah,
it's not like you stepped out of the comfort of having your weekly paycheck that was there every week to you're doing it on your own. So for me, I structure. I've got really good structure now. I've got a full-time PA. I've got a full-time office manager. So for me, I either work on the business or in the business.
Great.
And
so you separate the two when you have to.
Yeah, and so I've got somebody that works on the business, and I essentially work in the business.
Cool.
Because I'm more valuable as a sales agent than I am, paying bills and doing the wages and doing the office operation stuff. So at the end of the day, decisions still come through me.
So I just want to touch on that. So you've recognised a weakness, you've recognised a strength, and then you've actually taken the steps to put something in place to address that so that you can still play to your strength. So for a startup, if they're starting up on their own and they don't maybe have a partner who can complement their skill set, what's a really good way to be able to outweigh any weaknesses that you have? Do you have to just suck it up and educate yourself? Or do you have to find a mentor?
Look, I think a mentor in business, and it doesn't matter how, like some of the people that I lean on to get advice, they lean on people to get advice too. So I don't think you ever stop learning in business, and no matter how successful, how busy, everyone's got people that they look up to and aspire to and get advice from as well. So if you are a sole trader, I would, get someone to talk to, get someone that's, done it before, because you can learn from their mistakes rather than making your own mistakes.
So who's, aside from Michael Jordan, who's your hero or someone you really look up to? I'm guessing it's Michael Jordan.
Oh, I don't know. As a sporting champion, he's obviously a sporting idol. But
you would have received good mentorship and counsel from Bob when he was in the business, would you say?
Yeah, 100%. Like to learn the commercial business, I was only 23 when I started with Bob.
Wow.
And if anybody was going to teach me what I know today, or I couldn't have learnt what I know today from anybody else in Geelong, other than Bob Gartland, then that's he was the best at what he did, and I was very fortunate to learn what I have from him because there was no one else with his experience. And he ran a good business, so I'm very fortunate to sort of, I guess, follow in his footsteps. Probably the other person that's helped me, and I've heard him talk on a number of occasions, probably the easiest person to talk to listen to is Brian Cook. And his rollout of Good to Great, and when he came into the club, how they looked at people first, not skill. And so I've sort of adopted that type of mentality in our business, that if you've got the right people on board, it makes your life a lot easier in terms of culturally, and people's buy-in. And as long as you've got the right people and they're willing to learn, you can teach them the skill. So from our offices, like we've got well-trained people with very low staff, we've got very low staff turnover, and culturally, like it's the most I've enjoyed working with a group of people.
Right.
So again, you make a few blues early on in some employment, and you're new, you don't have the runs on the board. But now we're in the fortunate position where we've got people wanting to come and work with us and come and knocking at our door. So it's a good position to be in, but it's not without making a few little stumbles across the track.
Yeah, I've got time for one more question because I've got to let you go. Tell me, if you had to put your finger on the pulse of what innovation you think is going to change real estate, your industry, the soonest, what type of innovation would that be, or is there a type of innovation you'd like to see available that would make your life easier as a real estate agent?
We were talking about a few things before, and we were talking about that open negotiation that's been a bit of a disruptor. I'm not sure where that's going to head, to be honest, because I think...
So this is an auction but opened up before the day, like for a week or two?
Yeah, and it's people sit at a computer and do online bidding, essentially. Yeah. So I guess it's your eBay of auctions. And we've seen others try to disrupt the market with low cost and, like your Purple Bricks and all that. And again, they've come and gone as well. I think our industry to do well is about forming really good relationships, and I think that's the most important thing in our industry. But I think as our market, particularly in Geelong, gets exposed more and more to interstate and international markets, I think maybe even the virtual reality element of stuff might come into play a bit more, but real life stuff where you can actually walk around rooms and all that from.
So high quality, immersive virtual reality.
Yeah, we started to see it, but it hasn't really infiltrated. But I think that would be a trend that I think that will.
Well, we'll get a time and date stamp that prediction.
Done.
Yep.
Yeah.
So immersive virtual reality, I tend to agree. I can see how with people becoming more and more time poor and distance being a factor with international buyers, that ability to literally get almost the same experience as walking through the house. And what stands out to me about that is, often I've found that when people walk through a house or inspect, if they're really in love with the house, they'll rush through because they're so excited to make an offer and make sure it's theirs. And then they'll get home with their wife or partner and be like, oh, do you remember that? And say, no, and I forgot so many things about the house. But virtual reality, I felt, will give that opportunity to literally go back and relive.
Yeah, as many times as you want.
Yeah. So that'll not only help the consumer but also the agent, which is great. So user experience improved all round. So finally, right, how can people find out more about Garland?
You can follow us on socials, on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, our webpage, gartland.com.au, or simply come and give us a visit. We're at 71 Little Mellor Street, or give us a call at the office or mobile. So we're always there. So.
Great. Well, Michael DeStefano, it's great to have you on the couch. Thanks for your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Great.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
See you guys.
Cheers.